Today I'm going to be breaking down the Mike Leach air raid by going over a few passing concepts and how I would try to stop the offense as a whole. This offensive system has always really interested me because several of the NCAA passing records are owned by players that ran his offense. Just this year, Anthony Gordon led the country with 5,579 passing yards, an average of 430 per game. This is such a high volume passing offense, and I wanted to see for myself how they managed to still be successful. The breakdown for this first play is going to be a bit longer than the other plays because this one perfectly summarizes the Mike Leach air raid. The Mike Leach air raid puts a very heavy emphasis on stretching the field horizontally and a decent emphasis on stretching the field vertically. Almost all of the plays are designed to put defenders in defensive conflicts and force them to make a decision. This is a similar concept to the read option. Lastly, there are a lot of audibles in this system to allow the offense to get in the right play. The passing concept on this play is called corner, and its aim on this specific play is to isolate the corner route to the back of the end zone. The corner route was pretty well covered up though. The part of this play that I love is that it forces three defenders to have to make a decision. Because the receivers stopped their routes between zones, it created a defensive conflict. Look at the highlighted defenders. The defender on the left must choose between the swing and the drag, the defender in the middle must choose between the in route and the drag, and the defender on the right has to choose between the in route and the slant on the left. Now there are two wide open touchdowns on the play, the slant and the drag route. Technically, there is a correct way to cover this play, but Arizona makes a slight defensive error and gives up an easy touchdown. This is great play calling by Mike Leach. If you didn't get it from the last play, this one is a great example of how choice routes work. Usually, choice routes are more complex, but in the Leach system, it's mostly just stopping across the field routes between zones to put stress on the defense. On this play, all three drag routes stop between zones, and all three of them are open. What you're going to see on this play is called a mesh concept. Mike Leach loves this concept and concepts similar to it. The mesh concept is to have two receivers run in opposite directions across the field and have the defenders run into each other. However, the best part of this play is the play calling. Mike Leach, either during game or during film, noticed the corner at the bottom of the screen backs off and cover one man in order to not get beat over the top. Leach uses this against the corner and calls the mesh concept to get a wide open receiver. Before the receivers even cross each other, there's a 7-yard cushion between the defender and the receiver. This third down conversion against Oregon is a better example of the corner concept that I mentioned before. In this case, there's a swing route as a check down, but the goal is still to isolate that corner route. Watch the two corners and the linebacker to the top of the screen. The corners go downfield to cover the seam and corner route, and the linebacker stays put in the middle of the field. The running back is left wide open for a first down. Now I'm going to break down the shallow cross. This is another staple concept in the Mike Leach playbook. It's similar to the mesh, but instead of having two defenders run into each other, the routes are designed to draw defenders away from the drag by going more vertical. The corner is also playing off-man coverage here, so the drag is left wide open for an easy pickup. The corner actually had a pretty good recovery to force the play back inside, but he doesn't make the tackle. A more vertical concept is the shakes concept. This is a full field read for the quarterback as he's reading both corner routes and the seam as well, and the check down if nothing else is there. It's aimed to divide the deep portions of the field into one-on-one matchups where the receiver can gain an advantage. In this clip, there's man-to-man coverage and the cornerbacks cover the corner routes mostly well, and the corner on the seam route is playing off coverage, so he's in pretty good position. What makes this play work is the hesitation that the receiver does, which gets the defender to jump, leaving the middle of the field wide open. To be fair, the safety didn't do a great job, but he was shaded to the far side of the field, so it is possible that that was by design. The last offensive concept I'll be going over is the flood, and then we have two plays after this, but the concepts are already there. The flood concept aims to put pressure on the defense at all three levels of the field. This is done by using a go route, an intermediate out route, and a flat route. In this case, there is no swing route and only an out and go, but the concept still remains the same. The corner on the out route is playing an off coverage, and the go route clears out the defenders along the sideline, allowing for an easy 15 to 20 yard pickup. Right here, we have a halfback swing that goes for a touchdown. This is actually the exact play that we first reviewed. However, this time Minshew recognizes that Arizona is playing man coverage. He knows that his running back has a speed advantage to the edge, and the receivers will draw the boundary defenders in. He throws a swing as soon as he gets the ball for a touchdown. And finally, we have our last play. There isn't really a clear passing concept here, but I wanted to point out the defensive error made. I assumed that the safety was either in man coverage or a really, really poorly played deep zone. Anyway, as the play develops, he begins to shade to the outside. The issue with this is that's where he has the help. He has no help to the inside and leaves a huge amount of space for Minshew to throw the ball. If he shaded to the inside, he would have been in a much better position to cut off that post route. Or if the receiver went to the outside, he would have had a defender out there. Now I'm going to talk about some ways to defend the Mike Leach air raid. I would definitely run 3 down linemen, as this allows you to put 8 people into passing lanes. On my blitzes though, I would only bring 4 total, almost never more than that. Rushing 4 is considered standard, but the offensive line and quarterback don't know where the 4th is coming from. This adds to the mental checklist of the line and the quarterback. You can see that on this play, Anthony Gordon gets rattled with a fairly protected pocket. It is collapsing a bit, but there is a lane he could have stepped into. Instead, he misses a wide open receiver and takes a sack. While we're on rushing the quarterback, I would take advantage of the wide splits that Washington State uses. This clip is a great example of Oregon blitzing a linebacker. Even though he got picked up really well, he landed at Minshew's feet and pressured him into a dangerous throw into coverage that could have been intercepted. I would also tell my defense to attack underneath routes. This is very important. While it could result in some big downfield plays on double moves and things like that, this is super important for disrupting the rhythm of the offense. Washington State loves to do these short underneath passes as their sort of run game, and if you can disrupt those, it brings them into second and third and longer situations. And lastly, forcing red zone field goals. Washington State is going to move the ball for the most part unless they are way less talented than the other team, as we see with Washington almost every year. The defense has to make a stand once the field gets condensed. This can be a little hard because Leach likes to stretch the field horizontally, but that's where the aggressiveness on short routes really comes into play. On this play, Anthony Gordon is clearly off rhythm. He has a mostly well-protected pocket, and yet he panics and misses 3 wide open receivers and takes a loss instead. This play right here, it's just, I guess he's been hit a lot and just misses a wide open yardage there. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and share it amongst the football community, as it helps my growth a lot. I put hours of research into editing these videos to try to make them the best that they can be.
Cougars start with great field position from their own 41. Gordon comes out firing, able to hook up with Arcanato, finds a seam, and he's down to about the 39-yard line.